uh, informatician and I'm a yoga practitioner. Now I'm in the service of my friends and colleagues and family and whoever following me, members and all of that. I just want to share my own uh, daily life and what happens with me. That's the kind of thing that you want to really understand. And if you have something to contribute, if you have something to comment or question, please come up on the Clubhouse, on the Wisdom app, and then I'll be able to talk. I'm on LinkedIn and also Twitter and YouTube. But then I don't open those channels for two-way communication because I'm basically opening this room in the Clubhouse and the Wisdom app. And this is where people come up and engage and talk with me. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Give me a couple of seconds to arrange some powering of these devices so that they won't die on me. Hold on, okay? I'm just getting the charges out so that I can charge them. So I don't have to worry about them at the no during the right. Yeah. So give me 1 second. I will plug them up and then we are ready to go. Well, one thing I don't go out is to carry these charges for the phone, at least one of them, so that we can plug them in the car also, So I don't want to get caught with these things. Okay. Very good. Very good. So there you are. We're all ready now. So let me open up and then we are all set. Okay. Uh, Let me introduce myself and then let me tell you what I'm doing here. See, I'm a physician, had more than 4 decades of clinical experience and running my own clinic under my own corporation. And now I kind of semi-retired, but still actually providing healing services to whoever follows me through my company, which is called Be a Pal, which is an online company, which is really a fusion of modern medicine and ancient wisdom. With ancient wisdom is something that I was fortunate to tap into, but I didn't want to be blindly follow or being dogmatically religious, anything like that. But I examined some of the healing systems of the ancient times, like yoga, Ayurveda, Vedanta. All these things really help your mind, help your body, and help your spirit too. So there are immense insights that the ancients had, which were really admirable, at least for me. So I kind of brought some of the hacks from that ancient wisdom and knowledge to our own measures of stress reduction and helping our own stressful situation in modern life, right? So that's why my company is a fusion of modern medicine and ancient wisdom. So now I took some daily problems that we have. So I started with what I mean by being yourself, which is a higher goal or ultimate goal, where you realize who you are or what is your true nature. But to do that, you got to maintain a healthy body and clear and focused mind, pure mind, and then you can touch that inner self. So we are talking about some things that are concerned with our daily life. Yesterday we talked about sleep, and today we're going to talk about energy. How do we maintain our energy, or how do we have this high energy at which we all like to perform? Okay, that doesn't mean that you go crazy or take all these uppers or drugs or cocaine or anything like that. How can you be a teetotaler? I'm a teetotaler in the sense that I'm not addicted to coffee and tea. I may take one coffee or a cup or something like that, but I'm not deprived if it's not given to me. So I'm not addicted to anything. So that is possible, you know. And then how can you really do healthy pleasures, healthy things that you can do, like getting out of the walk and walking in the nature, taking a hike or swimming, or really enjoying a conversation with a friend, like we are trying to do here. Yeah? But usually I would like people to come up and have a conversation with me, have a dialogue with me, rather than me telling them. But then I want to share what I want to share about energy. How do you maintain this energy, or how do you replicate this energy, or how do you um, really allow that energy to be renewing itself? That is the aim. Okay, so what do we do usually? We don't understand where the energy comes, so what are the components of energy making and all that. We just spend the energy, or we just kind of allow the negative situations consume us, or negative persons. Negative situations may not be, but the negative persons really drain our energy. One person who is negative can really drain our energy. We all know about that, right? So how can we be positive when we encounter certain situations, like there are certain persons like that? Okay, so this is all I'm going to talk about. So anybody has any questions or comments upon one, you can come up and then we will see. Okay, I'm going to invite some people as they come up into the room, and then we can continue the conversation that way. Okay, but I'd like to wait for a few minutes so that I can really go into the topic, because every day I'm getting people who are coming late, and then I have to repeat the same thing again. Okay, but what I'm trying to do here, what is the agenda, and how we can pursue that. For those people who want to reach out to me later on, I have this company I told you, BFL LLC. Its web address is www.bafl.net. So if you want to register for any of the services we have, wellness club or consultations, or group training or individual training, any of those things, you can go to that website /register, and you can register for the class. One of the things I do is a wellness club that is given in the morning and in the evening, and according to the people's convenience, because I like to do both in the morning and in the evening. So what do I do in the morning and the evening is, once we get up, immediately I start this session, and then usually people come by the time, and then I already have gone to the bathroom and all that. Then I'm ready to do exercise with the students who come in. So we start being in the present, deep breathing, and doing both sides of the body. The entire hour is an exercise in awareness. So I am in awareness, I am in the present, I invite all my colleagues and students to be with me in present and stretching and deep breathing and focusing here and now. So that 1 hour, I invite people to come and join me, and then I can also have some few minutes to talk with them. And later on, I invite them to my Facebook lives or meetings, webinars, and all that. I do them at random, but now we have a structure. We want to give these services to the people who are uh, in need and who want to uh, really participate in that. So I'm trying to attract people who are health conscious or having problems with their health to fix it, and also want to be preventive rather than act after they become sick. So promoting wellness in the individual, in the family, in the community, and also around the world eventually, right? I feel people do that, but then they don't do it with such intensity and then such dedication. They usually come to us, to the clinics and hospitals when they are really sick, or the illness has progressed that far they have forced to come, and then they get medications to control the symptoms. So some of the time there will be cures for that, but majority of the chronic diseases are such that they don't get cured. They go on lingering, they go on taking the toll on the inner organs. Then we have to do surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, all those measures that are needed. That's all fine when you need them. I have no problem with the modern medical care, acute care, trauma care, or obstetric care, or prevention in the form of vaccines. All are excellent, fine. And more things are coming. That's all fine. But at individual level, at our family level, at our society level, we can do a lot of things to promote our wellness, to promote our general well-being, and also be joyful because we are healthy. My definition of wellness is you be strong in your body, flexible in your body, energetic in your body, and really able to have the stamina to do your work or your pursuits, whatever you want to do in your life. You're an author, you're a painter, you're a sculptor, or you're an information technology worker or healthcare worker, whatever, right? You can do them with joy and in high energy. That is what I'm talking about. Okay. So simple measures that we can take will help our body to be healthy, and also to discover if something is going to happen to us. We can use the preventive services, even the modern services, all the way up to genetic analysis, and then the kind of being aware of our family tree, the history of illnesses, and then getting our genetic counseling done, and then really understand what your body is made up of, what are the seeds that are in us that could be chronic diseases down the line, and then take appropriate action. For example, diabetes is in your family. Everybody has a family, and you have the same eating habits, same sedentary habits. You're sure to reflect the diabetes down the line. But if you understand that and then change deliberately, consciously eating habits and the exercise habits, then you will be avoiding all the destruction that diabetes can do once it is set in your system. That is about the body. About the mind, you want to be alert, aware, not thinking all the time. Aware. Don't identify with anything, but be aware. And also, you are consciously thinking, consciously doing things. Attention is paid to everything that you do. That is a good mind, not getting lost in thought or getting worried or getting regretful or all that, right? So those two things. And then your heart. Are you feeling empathy, compassion, kindness to other people? Do you come from your heart or come from your cleverness or shrewdness or your thought, right? So those kind of things. And then you have the uh, Once the body, mind, heart are covered, then how are you? What are you as spiritual? Are you healthy spiritually, or are you having any enmity towards anybody else? Those kind of things, right? So this is wellness. I mean, body is strong, energetic, flexible, mind is alert, aware, and heart is kind and compassionate and empathetic to other people. And spiritually, you realize everybody is really in one energy, right? So tonight topic is about energy. How do we produce energy? How do we spend energy? And how do you renew energy? So my formula is eat good, nutritious, vitally rich. That means it has spunk in it. If you eat it, you know they are much more tastier, the organically grown foods, than other things, right? And then once you have a good digestive system, that means you are maintaining good, healthy digestive system that can really digest and assimilate, right? Once you assimilate it, then you can also metabolize these nutrients. That means you are really providing oxidative phosphorylation, right? Then you have ATPs, then you have energy. We know all of that. And then, what are the things that uh, really do these things? Or do we have simple like negative situations, negative people, negative thinking, or reactions? All these things really take our energy away from us. Okay, so you get to really pay attention to the stress busters, or the things that can really restore your energy better, right? So some of the simple things are: keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself focused on what you're doing in flow, and don't react to everything under the sun. If somebody says something also, you don't have to react, but you can understand and stop and say, is this what they are saying is true? If it is true, how can I really uh, assess that and see the truth of the matter? And if I need to change myself, can I change myself? That kind of thing. Okay. So if you don't do it and you have emotional reaction, and you spend a lot of energy in that too. So that is another thing. And then, how do you really be in flow, and then really save your energy? That is another major aspect we're going to talk about. How can you be in the flow when you really do whatever you're going to do? Is this just for you, or just for your company or institution, your country? All those things come into play too. So energy is there. Energy can be doubled, energy can be renewed, and that can be a habit. So my habit is ever renewing energy. So I have some stress busters, but I also have energy boosters. One of the simple thing is, like I talked about, always keep yourself hydrated, but don't drink too much. That is also not good. But then just hydrate yourself, because 3% dehydration will rob like a 30 to 50% of your energy. So we kind of repeat that with so many people, so that they will understand, and they will have hydration next to them. Like a bottle of water. Good water is also not available to all the people in the world. So we want to consume safe water. That's also important. So we have to respect the water that we are drinking, because a lot of people don't have that, right? So hydration is a very, very simple thing that you want to always attend. For example, I'm talking continuously. I keep water next to me, and then usually, if you drink out of metal, that is better for you rather than plastic. Okay, so one thing is, plastic will have those fibers going into the water, so we want to avoid that. And also, plastic is harming us, because it is going to stay there, and we have huge problem with that. So as a friend of ecology, as a friend of helping the earth, we don't want to encourage the plastic bottles, right? So I kind of always tell my wife and my children how we can go to the groceries with a cloth bag. How can we drink out of metal or glasses rather than plastic? So consciously we can do that every day, right? But hydration is very important for our energy. So if you are spending a lot of energy and you're getting dehydrated because you're what we call vapor through all the water that comes out is like a 1 or 2 gallons a day for somebody who is working, who is talking all the time. So you want to watch that. So then the next thing is, the simple thing is what? The breathing. If you have the breathing proper, if you are really breathing deep as much as possible in the morning, in the evening, and during the day, that itself restores energy. There are some energy boosters. I will show it to you if the time permits, about what to do with the simple breathing exercise 3 or 4, and that you can do anywhere, and you can make a practice out of your office or surroundings or wherever you're working. That will be very good for you. Okay. So Sanya, welcome. Angela, welcome. Jacob, Muhammad, and Sonia. Yeah. Yeah, Angela, we're going to say something.
No, I was kicked out the room. I said, welcome. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So, so Sanya, tell me about your energy. How does it? Okay, tell me what you do and what you would like to learn in this room.
Yeah, I yesterday I did the techniques, which is good on at nighttime, and just wipe out that at least half an hour before the bed thing, and so in terms of like the next day, I wake up so much better.
Oh, very good, very good.
So that was nice in terms of energy, without my big headache and stuff like that. But okay. So that's, and of course, in terms of energies, I do still do the yoga that we practice every day, because I've been with you for the whole year. I can use the routine, and just like in terms of breaking in the energy, just look at the flow that you had. Yeah. And of course, the last one, wrapping up with the that meditation part. Yeah. So I still do that every day. Yeah, they're meant to be practiced. It might be in terms of time and stuff like that. It's a little bit off, but I try to stick as close to our schedule as possible. Yeah, yeah. They're meant to be working really well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and if I miss one, I miss. I'm kind of off a little bit, but then it's easier to get back into the rhythm, because the breathing is important. I feel like. Exactly. Because once you settle your mind and bring it back to consciousness, or bring it back to the present, it's so nicely. It's a beautiful feeling, right? Because you're taking that time. Yeah. Yeah, that is what I hope all my students do, because doing with me, perfecting the technique and asking questions, that's all very good. But then after you learn, how you implement in your daily life is important. You see, one of the things I really take pride in is I take anybody's work routine and then incorporate these things into them, so that they don't have to, first of all, build up the bad energy. That's what I will explain to you. But also to really not have to go to some studio like mine or anybody. They may not have the time, they may have the intention, but then these 12-hour shifts and all that, they throw us off, right? Sometimes we work in the night, sometimes we work in the day, and also the weather, implement weather, that's a problem, and the conveyance is a problem, taking taxis and going. So there are so many things. So I think it's very cheap. If you have 6 feet, you can do yoga. All sorts of asanas you can do. Or if you have 2 feet, I think I made a video on that too. So you got to check it. I think it should be in the Instagram. So I just stayed in my 2 feet
and standing there, and I did almost all the yogasanas in that posture without moving from that for 45 minutes. So that Sting, the rock star, he was doing his yoga in the bathrooms because he has to travel quite a bit, right? So he was always doing this yoga asanas in the bathroom, all the time. And so that is also very simple. That's why you don't need a special equipment. You don't need special mats and all that, but you need a clean and aerated space, and that could be a very small place. And then you, as I said, you can stand on your feet. That means you have taken only 2 feet space, and then you can do the forward bends, backward bends, sideward bends, and you can sit down on the two and come up, and then you can really stretch your body in different asanas. You can do some jumping jacks, or you can do the sit-ups and all that. So many things you can do. If you are interested, go and find that video on the Instagram, because I have been doing this yoga sessions for about a year and a half on Instagram, so you should have plenty of material there. So if you want to, or if you want personal direction from me, you can always come and join my wellness club. That I will do on the Zoom, because I don't do any more indirectly, because I was not able to see anybody on the Instagram. They were saying they were joining. I could see the people are joining. Sometimes 50, 60 people came up. Sometimes 10 people came. That's okay. But then they had access to them, so a lot of people did on their own times too. So we were having good feedback afterward, but then I was not satisfied. Unless I see them, I didn't want to give the instructions for them, because that may not be appropriate for a novice person. Will have to be instructed differently compared to a very old person. So it depends upon the age, gender, shape of the body. So many things are there, So sometimes if you do the same thing in an incorrect technique and then go on repeating that, that could give you side effects, which that is more my concern. Because as a physician, our first thing was first do no harm. That is our principle, right? With which Hippocrates oath. That's how we were initiated into our profession. So I want people to understand that. Why I want to help them correctly by seeing them. Actually, we should be doing in person, but now we have these wonderful tools of internet and communication tools that we can relate with anybody who is in it. Sonia is in Canada, but it feels like every day we are meeting, so that kind of thing, that kind of closeness, that kind of friendship, and all that is good for you to grow. My interest is how can I enhance human being in various respects. Once I understand that, I want to be true to that. And this Zoom sessions really help me too, because I do some talks on the Zoom too. Like I'm talking to you guys now. Like I do my own talks with the people that are interested in the matters that I'm interested in, and that may be too much for some people who are not really into it, right? So I kind of selectively send invitation to people. For example, if you want to understand energy deeply and you want to have an insight into Ayurveda, what are the energies that they built it on? What were the basis and all that? And you got to go deep into that. And people may not be interested in that. So I will invite only those people, some dietitians, some physical therapists, some doctors, some psychiatrists, and all those people that I know that are interested in it. And they come and the discussions go on at a very deep level that they may not be interesting for people. I may not catch it also that at that level. So that's why I kind of reserve those webinars and and I don't call it a master class, but more like a satsang. That means association of good people trying to find out the truth of any matter. That kind. So we were talking about energy, So I was asking Sanya how she was talking about the sleep that I told that you will restore your energy, and she was doing that. But my question is, Sanya, how is the energy when you get up? How is the energy when you go for work? And how is the energy when you interact with people? And how is the energy when you come home? And how is the energy before you go to sleep and after sleep? That kind of thing, not you or anybody, can assess themselves. Are they really spending their life in high energy, or lots of quite desperation going on? Office workers or information workers or assembly workers or Amazon workers and drudgery. No hope of really being all of that. So much they look outside to get this feeling really joyful to live and happy to be here, content with what they have. Those kind of things I'm talking about. Those are the things. Otherwise, you are pursuing like, oh, I'm going to build up an online business, or I'm going to make so much money, then I'll be happy. But then when that doesn't happen, they get into desperation. What I am saying is, you can be happy and content here and now with the things that you have, with the knowledge we have, all of us as a collectively, humanity, we have a lot of knowledge, right? But we have our own prejudices, our own resistances to certain cultures, certain ways of living and all that. That's why we never really understand those cultures and never really get the benefit of the wisdom of this culture. You take African countries, tremendous figure. So they survive in the harshest circumstances. And then I think I was telling you the other day, there is this book that I wrote about women who are facing extraordinarily suffering situations. The situations are giving them extreme suffering, right? And they went and found out, these women, how they, by themselves, from within themselves, they dug it out, such an energy, they were able to function at the highest and then reverse their life situations. So I think Half the Sky, that is the book name. I could not forget it because these women are very brave, courageous, and really heroes for me, because if you look at the things that they went through, their dastardly, their inhuman abuse and all that, right? But then how they stood up. So they took not only women in Africa, in South America, in Asia, several of the areas where we normally consider backward or really don't have resources and all that, right? But then they are human beings too. They have the same innate capacities that we have. Modern life, in a way, kind of pampers us so that we lose that edge of those innate capacities. For me, ancient wisdom like yoga and Ayurveda and Vedanta, they restored me back to that nature, back to those things. So I don't care about these luxuries because I'm already filled and content and happy. That is where I want you to help. Anybody wants to go there and want to find out, then they have to examine themselves, they have to learn about themselves, and then they have to help themselves. You don't have to consider you are bad or anything. It's just like you are what is called in Sanskrit avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance of that particular situation. You may have subjective knowledge of in a particular subject. You may have personal finance. You may have in information technology, you may have medicine, you have so many things we have, right? You may have that knowledge, but that you may do very well. But what about you, your own self? That is what we are addressing in this room. So look at yourself, how they are in all those situations I described to you, how you get up, how you work, how you retire, how you really engage in life, and how what kind of energy you bring it. So, are you motivated? And then you have all the energy, or something has to motivate you. Okay, all those things are important factors to consider. Okay, so Angela, Sanya, anything you want to add?
Yes, I like that. I like to protect my energy of keeping being positive, meditating a lot, being out in nature.
Yeah.
And just enjoy life, and actually growing my mental muscles to be happier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to share that part.
I think very nicely put, Angela. I think we will go and take those things and examine them. Sanya, anything?
Yeah, I'm grateful for up to this point of the route. I was looking and reflecting on the journey or the things that we've done so far, and like you mentioned, the workplace. Nowadays when I go in, it's a happy place because I choose to, when you are in the present, right? You enjoy whatever comes.
Yeah.
And however hard the struggles or whatever it is, like it's just like putting your head in there and just like enjoying how do you turn it into joy instead of like being, I used to be like, complaining and all of these things if I don't like certain things. But now it's just like, how do I add, things and make it in such a way that it does benefit not only myself but also other people as well, right?
Yeah.
It's such a different outlook of things,
Right.
And I'm very grateful on that. And that works with all the relationships that outside of me, right?
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that kind of, change or transformation even, right?
Yeah. It's kind of perspective change you had, so you're a nice person, want to be nice to be friendly and all that. That's good. But then how you approach everything with the perspective of doing good for everybody or just do things for me, that also makes a change. Here I was trying to invite Tiwari. I sent invitations, but it's not working. Maybe Tiwari, you have to go out and come back, then you can come out. And Jacob is here. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
Hey, Dr. Rao. I'm very regular.
Yeah.
And maybe Tawari just is not at their phone, so maybe that's why they haven't responded to the button.
Yeah, he raised the hand, so I sent the invitation to him, but it's not working. He's not coming up. You came up right away, but he was not able to. Maybe he could go out and come back. That may work then. Yeah.
So I just want to say, number one, I appreciate you. You were one of the first people that I met on Clubhouse. I remember Kyle Cooling was on stage and he said, "Hey, Dr. Rao, you should meet my friend Jacob." And then you brought me up. And that was really, I felt a lot of love and mutual respect from you. And I think that you're an angel of a man, an archangel, if you will. And just, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. And sheesh, I don't know. It's I don't know what it is, but I've never resonated with your rooms more than this week.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful to be able to listen to you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for whatever you're saying, Jacob. But we are all kind of angels inside. That's what we want to tap into. It is like a realizing the divinity within us and then manifesting that divinity in life. Not for some things, because one of the important things that happened to me was when I have this perception that ancient yogis had this kind of they were content and happy to begin with. So they were not having a thing about pursuing happiness. They were kind of finding that happiness within themselves and then coming out into the world completely contented, happy, and they were kind of did extraordinary work. So that was phenomenal. So current today, I watch cricket. You all know that, right? We are having this Indian Premier League (IPL) right now. So in the morning, these games come. So I watch them. Because I was a cricketer. I used to bowl. I was a half spinner and all that, right? So it was a passion right from the childhood we had, right? So one of the cricketers, he's called MS Dhoni, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He is a captain of one of the teams which I support. Here I support Bears, there I support Chennai Kings, right? And he is extraordinary because whichever city he visits as a leading captain of this particular team, the opposite team dresses in his colors. The entire stadium is for him. What is it about him is he is such a cool and calm and loving person. He mentors everybody, all the players, even the opposite players and all that. And then he allows people to really, if they drop a catch, if they do a mistake on the cricketing field, he doesn't pounce on them. He kind of nurtures them. So I'm describing this to you because I don't follow him and learn of these qualities, but I'm describing how a modern person can be like that. So they call them karma yogis. Karma means do our action. See, whatever action we have to do. Diwali, I'm trying to bring you up, but I don't know, it is not responding. Sorry. So he wants to come up. Probably he has something to say. I kind of sent the invitation several times, but he's not able to come up. I don't know what it is. Some glitch probably with this thing. So anyway, these karma yogis are the action becomes yoga when you don't focus on the results or the goals, but on the process. So, what suppose I go and see a patient? I go with the intent of, somebody is suffering. I want to relieve that. That's my job, right? So I will go and do that. But in the process, I should not promise that I'm going to cure your cancer completely and lead him to bad things. But I have to take whatever it is and then go from there and provide this. And also have the humility. I am going to dress him up. That means to do all of the dressings, all the pain medications, or whatever he needs. But then the healer is that energy that is surrounding us, that is where we are in, that is the divine self. We may call it different names. We may say consciousness, we may say pure energy, we may say God, we may say so many different matters, right? But then that intelligent healing energy is always there. So you got to really humbly submit to that, understand that, revere that, and identify that within you. That is beyond your personality or ego. And then once you are in there, you don't have a ego that says, I am the one who is doing it, I am the one who is responsible. That kind of humility comes in. And that's why they don't have this vagaries of our thought or expectations and crushing, or they say, I will do my best, but I won't focus on the fruits. So I will, there's a big poem called Karmanyavadikaraste Mafaleshu Kadachana. That is in the Bhagavad Gita. So this warrior gets counseled by the divine Krishna, and he tells him, your responsibility is to just do your work, but don't focus on the fruits and let them be determined by the divine, or you just hope for the divine to the best. But all you have to do is give complete focus on the process. Do whatever you can do, and then do it completely with the full, they're called chitta suddhi. That means complete attentive mind, complete attention. But the corruption happened not just the West, but the modern man, either here in India or anywhere. The corruption happened when we created this ego as our true self, which is actually our false image, and these fruits of the labor. We are all motivating everybody by what they can get, what they cannot get, that kind of thing. Okay, those two things, ego and the profit, those things really took us away from this divine self we have, which is giving, which is always nurturing, because it is already full. So there's a famous poem of Purnamadam Purnamidam. That's a famous poem where they say that which we created us, or which is manifesting us, is complete, full. And because I come from that, I am also full. But that fullness you want to get in touch with is where your mind, thoughts, and your limited identification of things preventing us. So there are three words I will tell you. They are Sanskrit, but that is very important. Mala, Vikshepa, Avarana. Mala means dirt in our mind. Say when you are selfish, when we want everything for ourselves, that is the dirt they're talking about. Okay, all this bad thoughts and everything, right? Vikshepa is where the thought is running around. It is not with you, it is going around, and it doesn't allow you to have insight into your own divinity, right? Avarana is like a veil. It is covering up the divinity. What is that veil? Ego, right? So we kind of identify with that. Instead of ego serving us, we kind of submit to that. Ego means that I am important, I'm going to do this, I'm the one who is doing all that is encouraged by modern education and societal conditioning. So what we want to do is engage in work that is unselfish. That is karma yoga, right? Love everybody unconditionally, because you are them, they are you, we are all in one conscious energy, right? And then really that work and love is taken care of. Focus the mind, and that is the Raja Yoga. First one is Karma Yoga, second one is love is Bhakti Yoga, and third one is Raja Yoga, where you focus. So having mala, the dirt removed by unselfish work, and focusing on the divine, focusing the mind to be on one point, you get rid of the vikshepa, mind running around all over. So these things help you to keep the mind focused on your work, focus on the divinity and all that. Divinity in everybody, right? It's not like a separate, we created some temples, churches. That's not. It's within every living being. Yeah? And then you really identify yourself, who you are, and you take away your wheel of ego. Then that divinity is self-luminous. It will come through the opaque ego. The ego that makes it opaque, it doesn't allow the light to come out, But once you are really got rid of it, so this is a very simple formula evolved into so many yogas. Your action should be karma yoga. Your relationship with everybody should be bhakti yoga. And your mind activity should be focused. That is the Raja Yoga. And then really knowing who you are with a pure, that is, the dirt is taken away mind, focused, that is only focused on the divinity. And this mind reaches that recognition of your real self, real nature of you, with no effort. Very simply. Is that complicated, or is that clear to you guys?
I'm having an issue with it. Yeah. Because how can I love someone like a Putler or a Putin?
Yeah.
When he's killing my family, when he, out of his ego, when he's operating from greed and malicious creativity, how can I want anything but to just stop him? Yeah,
this question was asked several times and repeated several times by so many people, not just by me. They asked this question, Hitler and Mother Teresa. How can I see both of them as the same? What it is Hitler, Mother Teresa, both have this seed of this divinity in them. That is the life force in us. But then Hitler turned to the ego and all the dirt that he does with that for his own pride, and he's doing all that, right? Whereas Mother Teresa completely submits herself to the divinity, and then seeing a divinity in everybody, whether poor or disabled and all that. So her vision is more pure than this guy. Never had any vision because he doesn't know what he is. So remember, Christ said on the on the cross when he's being,
Forgive them, for they know not what they do.
yeah, that is what he did. If you don't do that, you will be hating, and that heating energy consumes you. So it's not, Hitler has to be supported or do it. You definitely raise against that with righteousness, but not separating energy that is hatred. So basically, this is what I said. The divinity is present in every living being. So you recognize, but the other people may not have recognized. But if you don't recognize, stay in that energy, your anger, your hatred, it may be justified, but it does consume you. That's why you want to be in your, like, for example, so many people don't respond to me, but that's not my problem, right? So my problem is just to communicate what I feel. This is good, and maybe we should talk about it. It doesn't mean that you have to accept it and then do it. You have to listen to it, then you question it, then you investigate on your own, then your own intelligence shows you what is what. And once you have really realized by yourself, not by me convincing, but then by your own investigation, then you will be implementing them in your life. Then that becomes your property. So all these gurus and everybody else saying that I'm going to make you better, that is not really true. It is you who can transform yourself by your own understanding, by your own investigation. But we are so much occupied with all this selfish activity or egotistical activity. That's what Putin is doing. He is destroying people because his own personal ego. Not only the Ukrainians, but also his own people. And he's putting them back. And also he's threatening the entire world with the nuclear arms. So where does it come from? That is where you have to go and understand. This comes from egoic thinking, not thinking that we are all in one energy. That is the ignorance, avidya, they call it. This was explored thousands of years ago. That's why these people, even though they had much more dangers than present generation, they were able to be harmonious because they accepted this energy being everywhere. They were harmonious. Any religion, anything is accepted, right? And then they were also tranquil with him because they don't have the movement of this thought saying this is bad, this is good. They call that accepting the same sides of a coin, the pleasure and pain as the two sides of the same coin, and being equanimous when they are facing Hitler or Mother Teresa. Did I answer you, Jacob?
Kind of. The coin metaphor is getting me. It's like,
yeah,
the coin is meant to be flipped if that's the game that we're playing. But when one person holds one face down, they're saying the game is over and we're only playing this side. All I want to do is flip the coin.
Yeah, but you are in reaction. But what I'm saying is, look at both of them with the equanimous. I think it's a difficult kind of thing to understand, but once you get it, then you say, oh, okay, I'm wasting a lot of energy leaning to one side or other. Then you realize what is it that is doing that discrimination. Your thought, your movement of thought, your mind. So this divinity is wielded by that thoughtful process. Once you get out of that, that is why these yogis were very content, because they really tapped on the diamond that is within us. And all the other things are really not needed, because if you are completely content and satisfied with yourself, then you don't crave for anything after. So Western civilization is meant to, understand that as a everything is made out of thought, and whatever I think I can do and all that. So that is a limiting belief. Once you investigate and find the truth of it, then you will come out of that structure, and then you will be intuitively grasping your true self, not analyzing it. That is the difference. Anyway, don't try to push yourself into any corner. Just like go and think about it, ask questions, and then we can also privately meet. And then I'm doing those consultations with a lot of people who wants to explore that, or you can attend those sessions I mentioned about satsang. But they are only sent to people who are really interested and who really want to come and have a debate. That is just a present viewpoint and listen, and you listen to the other people viewpoint. No argument. But argument comes when you are egotistically taking a side and want to support your ego. Then you want to prove your point and you want to stay. But debate is where you want the truth of the matter, and you have as much right as anybody else who may be much more into that. But they have this civilized conduct that was practiced way back. In the ancient times, they had this satsang where not two like-minded people, two people, they come and project their own inner intelligence-driven thing rather than mind or learned erudite behavior. People read a couple of books and they think they have information. They consider that information as wisdom. But if you have insight into the information, that becomes your wisdom, which you have to bring it in your daily life. Otherwise, it just becomes verbal or erudite. That's why reading books doesn't mean that you're going to be a wise person. But investigating those truths within you and applying them, then your wisdom will flower up. That is called flowering of the individual. So we can do that. And then also, these things are not to be grasped because somebody states something, like I am stating something. These things have to be first listen carefully, then investigate into that, then apply them in your life and see how that is. Then you will see the divisions we make, the separation we make from that unifying energy. Like, for example, I don't feel lonely at all because I'm always connected with all the life things. Like Sonia comes to my clinic, I connect with her. Somebody else comes in the evening, I connect with them, but the same energy. So it's not like I have to know her personality, I have to know her inner designs or whatever. That's our life. But my job is to see and relate at that divine level, which is she has and I have. That is the namaste significance is I am, by bringing both my left side and right side together and keep it on my heart. From my heart, I can discover the heart of the other person, which is the divine heart. And once I do that, my patients also, I do that in my mind when I go there, then I don't have any limiting of age or sex or social status or educational status. None of, they are all attributes that are supposed to help our life. Are they doing that now? They are separative. They are making us lose a lot of energy. That is our topic today anyway, energy, right? So these yogis who taught me this about first be content, first be happy within yourself by finding yourself, and then go and work for the world. This is called Atma Mokshardham. That means Atma means your inner self, Moksha Ardham. That's liberate. Once you realize that, liberates from all these worldly activities, right? Then go and work for the Jagat Hitaya. That means you go and work for the welfare of the world, not to really satisfy egoistic desires or demands or whatever things that you have, delusions you have. So once I touched that, understood that, life was beautiful. External circumstances may be different. We can have illness, we can have economic strife, so many things can happen to us. But they come and we face them with this enormous energy. And that's why they were so productive. They wrote 30,000 poems. One guy, another guy was like he had such a sway. He politically and economically, his kingdom was so great. There was no stealing, no lying, no violence in the land. Alexander comes to that, and then he conquers that small kingdom. But he was impressed by what he saw, and then he said, "Who is responsible for this?" And they said, "Oh, there used to be a prime minister, but he is gone now that you have come here. He didn't want to live under an occupied place, so that's why he left forest, and he's going to be living in the forest now." Then he asked his soldiers, "Go and bring him to me. I want to talk to him. I want to know him." These people go and tell him the emperor wants to come. He said, I don't have any desire to come him. If he wants to talk to me, he can come here. He is so psychologically free. He is not threatened by the death or punishment or anything like that, right? So Alexander comes to him and then talks to him. Then he says, "See what you are accumulating, the kingdoms, the soldiers, everything, they're only outside of you, and then you will never be happy unless you gain more and more and more. Whereas I am satisfied with myself, what I am within. So I don't have to conquer anybody. I only have to conquer myself." So that kind of thing. So there is a tremendous wisdom along those lines. They said, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Those are the inner qualities of desire, anger, and lust, and so many the jealousy, all those things, different like a pride, uh, all these qualities that we have, the hatred and everything. You got to overcome them first. Then you are internally free, and your energy will be very high. So that's what they taught me, they showed me, but I listened to it, then I went and investigated on that in my own mind and all that. And then it doesn't happen just like that, okay? It has to be, first of all, we have condition with all the garbage we were fed in, right? And then we have to see the universality of it and accept. You cannot be a particular practicing religion or particular affiliation to a country or particular gender and all that. All those things are conditioned things within us. You got to drop them. And then you don't be identifying with anything, but be aware of everything. That is the thing. Anyway, we'll come back to the regular things now. This is the energy which we are talking about. So when you get up in the morning, don't allow your stream of thought dominate you. That will take so much energy away. That means it takes you away either into the past or into the future. But then try to be in awareness, bring the awareness forward. All this yoga, Ayurveda, all these things, they concentrate on bringing the awareness forward and putting the thinking faculty in your control. But right now, you are going whichever way the thought is taking you. So that is the switch that you will have with these understandings and practices, right? Like, for example, I say to Sanya in the morning, come on, let's be in the present, let's deep breathe. That means you be aware of how much you are deep breathing, what's happening within you, how you are breathing out, and what are the tensions you have in the body or in the mind. They ease, that you are aware of that, and then you continue to do that, and then you discover the impurities in the body first, and then in your emotions and mind later, and then you want to be away from that egoic structure into this universal one being stationed in that. Your energy will be, you will feel yourself how the energy is going to be, and then you want to go and work in a spirit of karma yoga, which is unselfish work, and giving from the heart, which becomes the bhakti yoga, and attention in doing it, that is the Raja Yoga, which is the meditative process. When you're doing work, you can be in the meditative awareness. I wrote a book on that. Very soon will be released. You guys can read that. And then the fourth part is really getting rid of our ignorance, our bevakufi, that is in Hindi, is called basically stupidity, and realize we are all in one energy. And once you realize that, who is the other? Who is the anybody else? That all disappears. Then you will be in that really engulfing energy that really purifies you from the core. And that's what I'm talking about, ever renewing energy. We deplete that by our own wayward thinking, by our selfish desires and activity, by our fears, by our anxieties, because we want to, once you think we are a separate entity, you want to protect that, right? So I see that in the Clubhouse, everybody knows a little and they come and they say, this is the only way it has to be, but they are really support or protect their own egoic nature. That's all. If I see that, then I have compassion for them and I let them want to be. Who am I to say you should change? This is up to them. Anyway, ask me something else, then we will talk about it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll get carried away in this deeper issues.
Dr. Rao, I have questions about, in terms of energy, right? How people can use the word channeling and doing all these cards. How does that work?
I'm not clear. Sanya. Tell me more about what you're asking.
Like those tarot cards and stuff like that?
Oh, tarot. Yeah. You see, if you don't have the capacity to accept life as it is, then you want to project into the future. You want to project something good should happen to me, nothing should happen. But that is really unnatural, right? Our body is a physical inert substance that has life induced by this life force, right? That we call the divine energy. And that is going to make you work in the circumstances, and then you can sometimes, some circumstances are difficult so that you can overcome them, thereby realizing what you have. You remember that book I told you, Have the Sky, where the women are encountering these extreme circumstances, but then with their own inner energy for their children and all that, they overcame them just by that. They don't have these education things and all that, but innate wisdom. Okay, they were close to the nature. They understand human beings at the core level, and that's why these women were able to really come out of those circumstances. They're very, very extraordinary circumstances, right? So, but then you have, who is that desiring my life should be comfortable, my life should be all these desires I have. That means your egoic self is projecting all these things, and they are playing with that. They are exploiting that, your fears or anxiety. It can happen even in the medicine also. If somebody comes and they are vulnerable at the time, and then they lot of investigation, lot of things don't have to be ordered, but they take that advantage of situation. I'll tell you a practical thing that happened. There was this oncologist who is how turned out business person, and they think charging that, getting all that, that's all okay. But that means he has moved away from being a real human being into a egotistical, selfish, or greedy. And then modern society encourages that, right? So this man, what he told me, because I've always talked to the specialists I refer to on my patient, because I consider them as family members, right? So I want to know what is going on so that I can inform them better. And lots of times they want to come to me because of the closeness they feel, and they pose questions to me about their condition. So I need to know what is the specialist viewpoint, because he has expertise, subject matter expertise, right? I honor that. So I went there and he said, oh, it's all spread all over, the cancer is all over, he's not going to make it. And then he tells me that in the consultation room where we had private meeting, both as doctor to doctor, and then I come out, and then I had to go to other patient to see. Then I come back, and then he's in the room with the patient, the family around, And he was telling them, oh, we can do this chemotherapy, we can do that, this, and you'll have probably chance. And he knew there was no chance because it spread all over, right? But he wants to sell his infusion treatments and all that to him. So what do you say about that? So it is, question this. Who is that in me that is asking all these selfish things? Once you know that you are coming from the ego rather than your real inner being, which is the same as the other person, then all those things will fall, and then the service takes a different meaning. But in America, everything is like for money, profit. And if you are successful, you have made a lot of money. I think that's why they personally suffer quite a bit. But you can make the money be used for purposes. That's like a fuel that you can use to enhance really whatever the inequality we are seeing. We can diminish that. We can allow a lot of physical suffering by giving food and clothing and all that. We can do so many things, but it is a question of, do you need money to be content and happy within yourself? I realize it's not. So that's a fundamental shift. We were told to pursue happiness by accumulating things, by having relationships and all those, right? That is so totally reversed by the attitude of happiness is within you. You find that, then you lead the life. It's not in the things, because things may be there, but it is kind of lasts for a while and goes away. That's the thing. It's a temporary nature of it, fleeting nature of that kind of pleasure and happiness. Somerset Maugham said very beautifully, if you pursue pleasure continuously and that object which is giving you pleasure is no longer pleasing to you after a while. That is very true, So they have a system in India, ancient India, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That is 4 ways of, you want to do good in society, do everything in a good way. That is the dharma. Artha is you can have some wealth of house and things like that, you want to live well. That's also temporary, right? If people can become boats, become small boats and big boats like that, right? Transient nature of it. And then kama. Kama means desire. Okay, you be good, you earn a livelihood, and you have some pleasure. That's all fine. But then they're all temporary. Once you realize that, you look for what is within as a human being, this diamond within us that you want to get into it. That's where you want to liberate yourself from the mind, which is causing all these desires, all these afflictions, they call them, So then you will achieve moksha, that is liberation from your own mind. It's not out there in the heaven and all that. Here and now, it is here. So look at the America, for example. How, that's what I relate to, even though I come here when I uplift in fashion. What is my job? I face so much of suffering, physical suffering, mental, psychological, spiritual, and even ordinary people. They are despondent with it. Look at the youngsters, how much they are worried, and they don't have a carefree childhood anymore. They have to achieve these grades and everything, and also this tension. If they are not doing very well, they are not enough human beings and all that. So they kind of live with this despondency or real agitated minds. A lot of teenagers are like that. That's why they commit suicide and all that. So everybody is conveniently ignoring the planet health, the suffering that's going around us, the human beings that are really suffering. But then they just want to make some money, and then they are hoping in the future that's going to give them happiness. Now, you will realize that is not it, and you will pursue more, and then you will be ending up like that. So that is the liberation that I told you about, when the yogi is contented, happy, fast, and then they went and helped the world. Atma Mokhyardam, Jagat Hitaya Cha. Even modern Indians, they don't do this. They have become as commercial as anybody else. Maybe in some cases much worse. Some people, very, very small segment, are maintaining this wisdom by understanding and living. But lately, what happened was, like I'm born in India, I was brought up in the English medium and also studying medicine and all that, right? So there were some things that were kind of pleasant to us, but we didn't know what is the meaning of it. But after I came here, I saw the culture shock. But I didn't want to succumb to the culture. I wanted to examine it. There were good points here, like a punctuality, like a manifesting our talents outside and the service, and all those things are there that I accepted. But I didn't want to accept the weaknesses of making external things more important than people, or moving away from that unifying energy we have by identifying with ourselves with some religion, some country, and all. So now I'm a world citizen, not affiliated to any particular religion, but I can learn from their wisdom. Anybody, right? I can learn from the Christians, Jews, or Muslims, or Hindus. But I'm not a Hindu. I'm not a Muslim or anything like that. It's like for me, it's like a tribal nature to do that. Okay, so now we are, as science accepts everybody follows the same science, right? Like that, these sciences are internal sciences, inner sciences. What I do with the medical practice and all of that, a lot of is outward. But then you really understand the inner nature, inner understanding, then I can heal my patients much better. How can I listen to them without anything happening in my mind? In the sense, I'm quiet and silent. That means what my conclusions, my understanding is not that important. What is important for me is what is happening with him, what is bothering him, how can I help him. That is the concern. That's an unselfish activity, not like exerting, even though I'm in an authoritarian position, I don't want to go and dominate the situation. That is what's happening with a lot of modern doctors, because people are fed up because doctors not spending enough time. That they mean is they're not listening to us. How can you listen if you are going on in your mind all the things? You cannot listen. You have to have a quiet mind, silent mind, to be able to listen to somebody else's thing too. So all those inner riches were given to me by the ancient wisdom. That's why I kind of also, this is a way to transcend your suffering, daily suffering or big sufferings and all that. Anyway, we are going into deeper matters, but basically be oriented inwardly, solve the problems inwardly, then the energy is there. You won't deplete that with all this thinking, all these conclusions, arguments, or relationships breakdown, or getting addicted to some things outward to keep yourself basically sedated. They may think I'm getting a lot of euphoria. That's all. They will wake up with a headache. But now, once you are clear, once you are focused in your mind, once you are doing unselfish work in a loving unselfishly, unconditionally, actually. I did a small video on this. Work unselfishly, love unconditionally, focus on one thought or to go beyond, and realize who you are. This is the only sentence I said. Please reflect on it. It is there. Instagram, go and look at it. The whole thing is a summary of that entire Bhagavad Gita, which is very, very, it's not a really text of religion of Hindu. No, actually they did the nomination of the Hindu religion later on, which is also separating. This is about the human being inside and what. You don't have to be any Hindu, because that's why I don't say I'm a Hindu. I don't do those rituals really repeatedly, making my mind down. I know the significance of rituals, what they mean and all that. Like when you go to temple, they have this 3 times you have to go around the garden and all that. That is really working on your nature, three nature, tamas, bad energy or laziness and all that. Rajas, which is this frenetic activity that most of Americans are all the time going, right? And Sattvic, which is tranquil, harmonious energy. So you got to have that Sattvic energy. So you have to overcome all these energies to really see who you are, which is attributeless. And then once you establish that, that's why if you are caught in this, you are supposed to look at it. Then once you go in there, they give you what's called Cheda Gopuram. That means they put a silver thing, a metal thing on your head. That's like a blessing from the Lord. Also, making you realize how small you are so that you can get rid of your egoic nature. And they have this bell, which is supposed to awaken you ignorance. And they have this lamp, which is light in yourself, should be brought out, not hidden by this ego. So there's so much meaning here, so many mantras and others, they are there. But then ultimately, it gives you a purpose of unselfishness in the work, pure heart, unconditionally loving, and really focused mind. With that, you realize who you are. That is the basis of this house. Be yourself, not your personality, not your ego and all that, but beyond that, what you are. So once you do that, once you realize that, you don't have to be any religion, any country. This is human experience, human knowledge. We take it from the Europe, all the physics laws and everything. We take it, all the technology that came from America, and it's spreading all over the world. The problem is all these external things are not going to solve your inner problems. For that, you need this new orientation of turning inward and then being in the being, and that wisdom itself shows you the way. You don't have to follow anybody. You don't have to follow me also. You can have the wisdom coming through you, not your egoic self, but what is beyond. So religions are supposed to transcend the egoic nature by understanding, not by punishing you or anything like that. By understanding your own, see, your knowledge comes when you dispel ignorance. So avidya is ignorance. So dispel the ignorance by your own investigation, by your own awakening of real inner being. Then you are liberated, you are enlightened, they call it. I think Eckhart Tolle had a good sentence. I remember that in his Now book. He wrote a book called Now, right? Eckhart Tolle is into this too. He said, regaining the memory of being, which is I'm talking about, and embodying it, the feeling realization, not thinking realization, not concluding realization. The feeling, that is intuitive feeling realization, is enlightenment. Regaining the memory of being first, then embodying it in the feeling realization, what you feel through intuitively, what you realize internally, not by your thought. Don't think. That's what they said all the time. Be still. That means don't think all the time. Be still and know you are God. That's the meaning of this, the Christianity. Because that kind of mind, that kind of thing is there in the great people like Christ or Buddha or Ramakrishna or anybody. What they do is they have completely silenced the mind, and in the tranquil, harmonious mind, they have this energy, and that is affecting all of us even thousands of years after they come. But then now we know a few facts about somebody who had real enlightenment about a certain truth of certain thing, and then we kind of repeat that to make something, but then instead of improving our lives, we are kind of producing all the suffering. Basically, that's what we see all the time, right? Everybody is in desperation or suffering with their own inner mind afflictions. So you can spend some time to be aware, not in thought. Spend some time not to identify. Spend some time really identifying the same energy that we are all in and stay there. Okay. And don't fall for this egoic demands or identifying with those and then pursuing all the activity in your life. So that's why they said you are wasting your life if you are not turning inward and realizing this diamond. I think majority of the people are doing that. So anyway, I think we are past 7:30. It means 1.5 hours here. I always forget time when I do this. But it's so much blessing to be able to, share with even few people that come. So nobody on the wisdom comes up and talks about this. They just come and listen. I hope they are listening. They are not just coming and going. But anyway, Sanya, you come and listen. That's good. And Jacob is coming and listening. So that's good too. I think Chitra is here. I know her, I think. I've seen her before. I have not talked to her lately. So, hi, Chitra. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. How are you? It's been a while.
I am blessed and blissful. You can say. So I visitors of all these friends here. So we are discussing some things. I was talking about energy conservation, how to put the energy properly and all that. So
great topic. Yeah. Very important topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Jacob sent me a message that he wants to have a chat. Yeah, by all means, Jacob. I do these satsangs where other people who are really reflective, inward oriented, and then not engaging in arguments or anything like it. Very energy loving discussion. You are more than welcome, or you want to talk to me personally. Yeah, that's also possible. A lot of people do that. 9 to 12 is the time when they reach me, and I give the hours, and then afternoon I write my books and all those things, and in the evening I come here to talk, and then after that I'm kind of spend my time with my family. So. Chitra, you missed the whole talk. We started around 6 o'clock. I would suggest that you go and listen to the replay, and then if you have anything that you want to talk to me, you can always reach me. Okay. Kanan is here too. So anybody else has anything else you want to talk about, or anything is not clear, or am I sounding too boring, or whatever? You can tell me that. That will be good too. Amrita is here too.
I feel like I've been more argumentative recently, but I'm confused about turning the other cheek. It's like, at what point do we just allow someone to kill us if they want to kill us? Because I don't want to believe that.
No. See, when I was growing up, I was born in 55, Jacob, So by the time Gandhi already died, 1948 or something, he was assassinated, right? So I was more like really understood everything from what my elders were telling me about it. See, they talked about non-violence, and they didn't want to kill animals, eat and all that. But what the non-violence he was talking about was, you see, some Britishers are atrocious, right? They kind of cut off the arms of these physicians who, with their hands, they do acupressure and heal your thing. So all the villagers are very fond of these people because they are doing everything free, and they are doing with their hands, and then they are manipulating the energy in the bodies and curing them, like acupuncture, like the Chinese also know the same thing as energy, right? So they call it chin, and we call it prana, right? But then they chopped off the hands of those people out of malice, right? So they did so much about killing the culture. This wisdom I'm talking about was really took a back seat, and then a lot of knowledge was lost because these people have this egoic nature, like we are the superior race, we are, and they did to all the world, right? The colonialism, that is all there. Then Gandhi said, my teaching tells me that Britishers are my brethren. So I'm not going to hate them, but I don't want to support the injustice that they are committing. So I'm going to raise in indignation, in non-violence protest, that this is not okay. But I'm not going to be violent and not going to go to their level and bring myself down. So who is the superior now? So working on ourselves means that don't react to something's happening right away, but respond with consideration, with not losing yourself and all that. So this Sanya, you know that, right? I always teach about don't respond, and also get your system ready by not having these reactionary stress hormones. They are produced as the reactions, right? With the fear and anxiety and all of that, your stress hormones will be much more. The sympathetic overload, fight or flight syndrome thing. This happens because you are anticipating a threat or a danger, and your system reacts to that. But there is no real threat and reaction, but there is a situation there. All we have to do is, you don't want to react emotionally about it and really make yourself desperate inside, but you want to assess the situation, respond to the situation, and then do your responsibility, whatever you think you have to do, in an equanimous way within yourself. This has nothing to do with other people. How real. This is what Buddha taught. I think the last 3 days I talked about this. Outward arrow is real. That violence, whatever they're committing, they're doing it. But how you react to that is the real suffering. Once you understand your action, you don't do that, then you have really transcended that kind of thing. So a lot of thing is people think I can, even the Indian movies, you see, they are showing all these fights and everything that you look at. They have forgotten Gandhi completely. They have not understood or implemented those things. But that's not just for the Indians and everybody also. Look at what happened in South Africa. Nelson Mandela was very much influenced by Gandhi and Martin Luther King and all, right? And he would not allow the massacre to happen because, see, it is very easy for the black majority to do that. But that did not happen. And that's a story I always tell. He was president at the time, and he went for somewhere to have a lunch, and then we were sitting and having lunch. Then he saw somebody standing way away there, and he asked his lieutenants who are there, asked them, go and bring that man. And they brought the man, and then he offered him lunch, and he told him to sit down and eat the lunch. But that man was petrified. He was shivering, I believe. And then he finishes lunch, and then he takes leave and goes. Then these other people are very surprised. Why is he so afraid? Why is he so shivering like that? Then he told him, Nelson Mandela, he was my guard at my prison, and he used to torture me every day. And he used to urinate on me while I'm having lunch. So he thought I will punish him. But then what Nelson Mandela did was he conquered his own inner reactions of enmity, hatred, anger, and all that. That's why he became the symbol for the nonviolence. And then he was the one who was able to avoid this massacre, otherwise it would have happened. This is evolution of human psyche that happened long time ago. But now we forgot about it, and then we're kind of identifying ourselves with the different countries, identify ourselves with the different religions, and for those things we're killing each other. Anyway, Amrita, how are you? I haven't seen you somewhere. Amrita, are you there? Maybe she's away.
Here, may I go one more time?
Yeah, sure.
I'm thinking about this concept of like warrior Buddhism or something. It's like, I don't want to be violent, but I'm not going to let somebody hurt me. So I saw this video of a depiction between the Ukraine and Russia war. And it's like, you have the visual split into two sides, and there's a line in the middle. And then it says peace on top, and it's like sunny. And then you have this little character, and it picks up a gun, and the word on top still says peace until the person crosses that line and they start shooting. And then a big hand comes and it takes the little character, and as soon as the guy crosses the line, then peace turns into war. And then instead of sunny, it becomes red, the sky. Then the hand picks up the character and it moves it back onto its side of the line. And then it becomes peace again. Then the character is confused and it comes back and it crosses the line. And as soon as it crosses the line, it goes from sunny to red. And then again, the hand picks it up, and then it moves it back across the line, and it keeps switching from war to peace, peace to war, war to peace, peace to war. And then and the character keeps coming back, and then eventually the hand becomes a fist and it crushes the character. And then when the hand raises, the war stops. And it's like, I want to turn the other cheek, but I also am confused as to why people are, doing this. And it's like, maybe the evolution of the psyche, it's like when the warrior priest class was created, maybe a lot of them lost themselves to the concept of war. And they're like, hey, well, with these newfound tools, we can actually, use it for our own ego. Maybe they experienced a form of ego death, but not a complete one.
I can answer you. Eckhart Tolle brought in this subject also because we kind of sold Western civilization as a whole. I think, therefore, I am. So much egoic development, everything related to thinking happens, right? But if you are beyond that, and then he said that, who is that French philosopher, René Descartes, right? He said, cognitum, that one, So he said, he should have stopped a little bit and got deeper. I am conscious, therefore I am. Because that was not done, for example, Germany, this national egoic pride was there. Like that, Americans also producing so many arms, giving both sides to kill each other, and then making money, and then just keeping quiet. And then this military industry development, spending so much money at the expense of education, research, and human needs, right? But we conveniently ignore that, And then if you look at that way, some 130 million people were killed, according to Eckhart Tolle. He was mentioning that. He said, because of this ignorance that we are this egoic nature, and then we want to fight for that, for temporary things, so many millions of people are getting killed, right? So what it is in that movie also, there is the light is that knowledge. The red is the blood, and then when they are operating the hand is that ego. It's not like a considering in consciousness that's called ekatvam. We are on one. Because you are not in the conscious being, but you are in the thinking side of it, you consider there are others and I am different. That's why I have to occupy them. I have to expand them and all that. So it's very illustrious, that movie, what he was saying, So finally, it kind of suppresses his own ego, and then things will change too. So all the cultures who are promoting these wars, that's the model that they follow. All the people in Hitler's regime, they supported him. They rejoiced that dominance, and he was occupying all the things in the beginning. they kind of rejoiced. They kind of felt that, even Iraq war. I was in Walmart shopping, and then I saw this barrage of bombs going on Iraqians, and my heart pained because the human beings are killing and using all and something like a name that they gave. And then that, what is that? That spirit of another people I'm killing, I'm dominant, I'm having this. Then what happened? So many years, so many Americans have to be killed, and then so much unrest in the world. So this thinking makes you patriotic, thinks you religious, takes you like a separate being and all that. But then if you really break through that and identify all the life is one, then this separation won't be there, and this killing and all those won't be there. What is that spirit of in you that kind of gets angry, wants you to kill other people? That's the one you want to find out. And then you go beyond that. Nobody can do that for you. You have to do it yourself. And then you will realize that energy, once you discover that energy, all these things don't even raise. For me, I don't have all these reactions. What I have is clear-cut action what to do when something like that happens. So I don't react, I respond. So I'm responding to the suffering I see around, right? And I kind of live a life that is really not having that separative energy, rather inclusive energy. That's what we want to promote with the kids and everybody. We want to teach them not to get like some kind of perverse pleasure when you see other countries are bombed. I watched this PBS channel for the news, right? There was a journalist, he went to Iraq a couple of years later and saw the bombing. And even now, those cultures were smashed by these wars. And actually, that's one of my chapters in my oldest book I've been writing for 1.5 years now. But still, I'm getting a lot of new material. That's why I'm not completing it. But the second chapter is about this. First chapter is about global heat and all that. Second chapter is about perpetual, perennial wars. Why? Why are we killing each other? So, anyway, Amrita, are you available to talk now? I haven't seen you. I want to say hi to you. Okay, I gave her the chance.
Are you referring to me, Dr. Rao? How are you?
I'm good.
Great discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love, it really, to me, I think it's just taking the time to be present with your thoughts and feelings. And I love what you said about choosing to respond rather than react.
Yeah.
Because, when you're still, you're able to recognize it's like what you said here in the title about the energy, right?
Yes.
Whatever energy you want to attract starts within.
Yeah, exactly. Mm.
Yeah. So I realized that a lot as a mother with 15 kids that I definitely have to manage my energy.
Wow. Yeah, obviously. America Supermom. I misread the title. I thought Amrita, right? But I'm very glad that you came into the room, and then that is the unconditional love the mom has. So that's why she has so much energy, and she's doing karma yoga. That means she's owning the viability and also really vitality of the children. They want to do something for them so that they can live a better life. That is the karma yoga, which she's doing action for the children without expecting anything in return, right? Most of the moms do that, by the way. My mom taught me what is heartfulness, because she never asked me to be anything. But whatever I am, she kind of course, if I do something wrong, she will tell me. But if I don't achieve something, like I was a poor student up until 6th grade because I never wanted to go to school, right? But then once I got the transformation 6th, once I went to school, I became the topper till I went to the college. And again, in the college also, I was okay. So, but she did not take that attribute. She made me healthy. She made me feel like I'm wanted, I'm loved, and all that. So that's all unconditional, right? So I learned that heartfulness because later on I discovered what is heart first or mind first. Latest cardiology research is telling us before it becomes an idea in the mind, first it sparks in the heart. So it is the heart which is the main thing that you want to understand and fix the mind back into the heart. That is the spiritual process, right? Like America's super mom, she is really super mom because her job is really mentoring, nurturing, and allowing the other life to flower and flourish in this world. And that's where the ancient wisdom is focused on. It's about being, it's not about doing. Whereas modern cultures are sacrificing the being for the doing. That is where the stupidity is. That's why so much suffering happens. So all you have to do is first learn about the being, then go and do whatever you want to do. You will do very well.
And that's good stuff right there. I mean, it's so funny how we can say these things. They sound simple, but I think that,
exactly.
It's the discipline to do them. But, you mentioned something about it starts in the heart and then it goes to the mind.
Yeah.
So for people who, they have a lot of fear or anger or, trauma that has affected their heart, how do you get them to trust to start in the heart?
Yeah, that is the conditioning and conditioning. First, you have to really stop your own conclusions and everything and recognize that you were conditioned by the past. But what we're teaching them, be here and now. What does it mean? Be here and now means not allow your conditioning work to the present and also go into the future. Rather, face what is in front of you rather than bringing all those hurts and everything that happened that are gone. That's why conscious thinking is what we want to teach people, so that you are thinking with what is happening now and reacting to that or responding to that and all that, rather than digging up what has happened, the past, which is dead, and then strengthening it in the form of neuronal pathways that if you think unconscious is the same thing again and again, which happens with this, people don't give it up and go on to let it go, but they allow it to bury deep into their own mind. And then they come out without them saying anything. It's like a trigger. Immediately they come, right? You even think about that. That's why in meditation, you want to let all those past things and everything come up and pass. That's why I teach people about watching their thoughts. Be the witness of those thoughts. Remember, Sanya, you get to watch your thoughts. Be the observer. Be the witness. Be the subject, then you will be watching those thoughts like you watch a cloud that is traversing through the sky. They begin, they come. But if the moment you suppress them, the moment you allow them to manifest, then you slip it back into the thought, not in awareness. If you are in awareness, then you don't identify with anything. But if you are thinking, then you identify. And then you want to extricate yourself from that network of thought, which is very like what America's Supermom is describing. The hurts and everything are there. But if somebody slapped you, at that moment you have pain. But then later on, your insult, implications of all of that, that becomes much more. So what we are talking about is that physical thing was real, but then later on, all the psychological memory, everything else is unnecessary. This is where Buddha's theory. First arrow is that slap, but the second arrow is what you make it out of it in your mind and then reinforcing it. So you don't want to let it go, forgive and forget. So great leaders, when they do that, they do a lot of good for the people. But the great leaders promoting violence, like Trump did, what happened? They were going to attack the same country people. right? And same systems that were built. So that is all written now because the leader doesn't have any idea about the self. He is like a Hitler in so many ways. He wants to destroy everything for his own personal greed and all that. Personal is ignorance also. So how can you allow him to be dominating your thinking inside? You just let him go, and you do what you is positive and everything too. So there is a big science on this in yoga. Thought arises and it comes and it passes. You know that from morning till, so that's not real. That is happening in you. You are aware of thought. That means awareness is your fundamental thing. In that, everything is happening. But if you catch the thought, identify with it, and let it stay with you, and thinking about it again and again, even though that was not the present thing that's happening, you are giving this neural path. That's where we use neuroplasticity to make the patient develop some good habits and do them again and again, so they become habitual and easy for the. But this neuroplasticity was explained thousands of years ago in the form of these thoughts. They are called vrittis, modifications of the mind, or pragnas, that's the actual thought. They come and then they form this samskaras, that is solidified, fortified thoughts. And then you forget who you are, which is the awareness, and you indulge yourself in that so-called developed thought, so-called established thought, which is the ego part of it. So if you let it go and live every moment as it presents, that is living moment to moment awareness.
That's awesome. So, because I've heard a lot of people say, write the thoughts down,
yeah,
so you can observe them.
Yeah.
But, so I like this thing about being conscious with your thinking
Yeah.
in the present. So, because, you have a lot of people that talk about creating habits so that your habits are unconscious.
Yes.
So how do you, what's the difference between those two? Because they sound like they're kind of similar, but you're saying something different.
Yeah. See, being in awareness, having a conscious thought, you use the thought faculty, which is a wonderful faculty we have, and then we perform whatever that is needed for that, the knowledge and all of that. But then you got to let it go. And also, don't focus on the results, on the process. And then once the thing is done, let it go. Then it won't become a unconscious thought because you are not conscious. What the best thing for that is there's this saying like, how do you get rid of mental habits? Then he said, you have to realize who you really are. You are that awareness, consciousness, right? And establish yourself in that. But how do I do that? How do I self-realize? Then he said, get rid of mental thoughts. Then he said, oh, you're saying that and this, it looks like same thing coming that way and this way. Then he said, but who is this asking this question? That is the thought. But you want to be in the conscious self. Once you are always there, thoughts will come, get used, and go away. You don't give them a chance to bury. That's why I enjoy what is called a silent, fulfilled, tranquil quietude all the time, because I live in the awareness. The thought as a noise doesn't stay. It comes, if the work is there, I'm doing that. After that is done, then basically I'm established in that quietness or self or Atman, whatever you call it. So that's why there's a mantra like thing I remember all the time for a while, and then now it has become a habit. What it is one's attention has always to be poised on one's inner consciousness or conscious self. That's the big self, which includes all of us. whereas this small self is the egoic thing. So one's attention has always to be poised on one's inner self. So this is very different from the traditional meditation people are talking about. People are talking about whack-a-mole. Thoughts come and suppress them, and then again other thoughts come like that, right? Whereas this is like not having so-called mind, which is producing this continuous perennial thoughts, but using the mind and the body as the tools of that inner awareness. It's not going to happen just like that. You got to take your own journey inside.
I love that. I mean, this is really profound for me because, what it sounds like you're saying is that the power we have is with our consciousness more than the unconscious.
Yeah.
Because the unconscious is kind of like, it's on autopilot, you know, and a lot of people think that there's power in being on autopilot, but the power is being able to choose
excellent
what you want to do rather than being just taking action.
See, those words are very, very true.
That may not even be true or serve you.
Yeah, exactly.
And really, it's not true anymore anyway, because if it happened in the past,
that's it.
There's nothing you can do about it. So you're like reliving something that's not true, and you're caught up in the wrong thinking.
Yeah, a lot of people got this word from me: be in the present, be in the present. But then they are using thought to say, I want to be in the present. No, you're not in the present there. You're caught up in the thought, right? But I think, what is your real name? America Supermom? Lachelle. Okay. Wonderful, beautiful name. But, America Supermom is so true, and that's good too. That's no problem. I just want to remember you by name. So excellent. She used a very, very good thing. Your consciousness is the reality. Unconsciousness, subconscious, all are created by us, but then given life to them, which is anitya. Anitya means temporary. It doesn't stay, it goes away. Our suffering comes from identifying what is temporary in life. Body as a physical organism is going to die. So that is not nitya, that's not permanent. Mind and its thoughts are also going to be there and then go away. That is a subtle body. That is also anitya, temporary. Getting caught up body consciousness, like I'm this body, or getting caught up in this mind that I'm this mind, is our falling. But then once you realize that, you don't have fear of death also. And then you use these instruments better because you have to care for them and all that, So you, in awareness, you do all this, because in awareness, you can feel the discomforts, everything objectively. That means you don't identify with that illness or, suffering coming from that pain and all. There are people like this who are really completely devoid of the body consciousness and mind consciousness, and so they are able to handle those tools much better because they are not overcome with the fear, anxiety, or those are attributes of the egoic nature, right? Then you won't react. Suppose some of my patients, when I tell them very, very, they say, I'm a primary care internal medicine doctor, right? So lots of things I diagnose first before anybody else for my patients. So I get to diagnose cancers or dreadful diseases, infections, and all that. I have to be really. I'm very cognizant and very experienced in end of life issues. So anybody wants grief counseling, anybody wants to understand their chronic illness, anybody wants to improve the healing of those things, you can consult me. So in the hospital also, when somebody is dying or is not expected for them to die, lot of patients come. Patients get their relatives come, and then they're asking a lot of questions, and then they are so angry and everything because as the hospital is the responsible for that. So it's a kind of becomes a real problem for them, right? So hospital calls me because the more explosive situation, the better thing come out of me, because I don't take them by the situation like all these other people are worried about. They don't want this nonsense or whatever they feel, the administrators, the CEOs, the insurance agents, or patient representatives, so many people. So we have a meeting. At the time, what all I do is I kind of keep myself quiet and listen to the complaint of the patient and the patient's family. Once they feel that we listen to them, they cooperate. Then they give us room to explain to them. Once we have the trust, then you can explain to them. The same things the people before me told, when I tell them, that has a different flavor and they understand better because they are touching that empathy coming from me. That's why we have to be humane. We have to get rid of our own uppishness, our own importance, our own status of knowledge, expertise, and all. First, be human. And this is something very difficult with the present day physicians. That's why I've created a course of soft skills for them, how they can develop these soft skills and then be human and serve the patient. Thereby, they can enjoy for the purpose why they became doctors. People forgot about that, right? So we have to bring it back. So in so many ways, this ancient wisdom blessed me. Do you see that, Prashant?
That is awesome. Now, one other question. So for people who might be in that situation with a lot of different ailments that I'm sure you've been aware of, what would be your recommendation for them relating to their diet if they're conscious of their own decision making that's aggravated their condition worse based on their eating and everything? What's your recommendation to get them to transform that?
There's a lot of work you have to do as a physician to understand what kind of conditioning brought to this, right? So I have a dictum saying, let us find out the root of your disease rather than just dealing with the symptoms and all of that. So we want to deal with the origins of your disease rather than just treating only process of the disease, because it already started, it's going on process, it has taken toll on the organs and all that. So what it is about the ancient health system is they focus on healing from within, healing from that. So not everybody may be receptive to take that, but then you have to take where the this person in front of me is, and what is that. You cannot force feed a kid. You got to slowly, let him develop and understand all. So you got to spend a lot of time. Luckily, my clinic was independent, so I could spend as much time as I want. Nobody's going to tell me that you cannot spend. That was my structure. But then that clinic is closed now. Even now, online, I can spend as time as I want. So that is there. So you got to show them that you are interested in relieving their suffering. So that comes from their own enlightened understanding. So if they are lots of time they are stuck in their own conclusions, and even the young people are so old in that they think the same thing, and what they know is the only thing. They don't open up their mind to receive this wisdom, right? And then once you have the open mind and once you want to see them, especially if you are really accepted or okay with the ending of your life, then you begin to listen. That may be too much for them too. So you end up provide relief from starting from symptomatic to limiting the disease and all. But if you follow these health principles I was talking about, wellness and all that, you can heal from within. That's why I said we need wellness-oriented systems, not illness treatment only, right? So that kind of thing helps a lot of people. Suppose you eat properly, you exercise properly, you rest and relax properly, and then you follow all these philosophical principles I was talking about, and not accepting just because America is rich, having so many arms, I'm going to follow that. I'm going to openly criticize that. What is that you're doing apart from the gun to the world? So you got to, whatever America is doing, everybody else is imitating. So you have a responsibility for that, right? So we call this gunboat diplomacy. And then inequality, why does it come? Why do you have to isolate people? So the government policies and all that. So and then they say, oh, Americans are the best. We are the self. We do everything. That you have to look at yourself and then find it. And then when it comes to that stage, because it comes from love, my patients listen to those arguments because I'm not occupied with any particular thing, but really identified with the one humanity. So what are we doing to that? American interest, that really irritates me. No, human interest. You have ideals that you have set up yourself, then don't go back on that. That is the tragedy of the modern America. But actually, founding fathers, how they are doing, what people are also some glorious Americans. You look at those people, they came and testified against the government and all that. Why did they do that? Because they have this innate sense of humanity. I want to do this. This is the right thing. So those people I admire in America. And a few people are there, but they are letting this nobility ship go sailing. But these politicians, everybody just for the money, just for the power, they are doing it blindly. They are the ones that really have to be transformed first. Otherwise, they perpetuate this division, conflict, and suffering that's going on. Even in the healthcare system, how much suffering we see every day. They get paid one illness, bankrupts many people. One stroke, 50% of them completely disabled. I don't know you know about this or not. I had a stroke in 2014 and I overcame that within a month because I used the modern medicine plus ancient wisdom. Back to work in 1 month. So everybody thought I was a freak. No.
That's amazing.
I'm not a freak. I had the knowledge. I used it when I was sick. And I used that occasion to really spend myself with myself. And that was wonderful. So I don't regret that happened because that was a choice. There was a chance that for me to really expose the modern medical system, the money-based, revenue-based system, how it is not helping us to be well and not suffering that way. So now I said, I'm going to work for the wellness-oriented health systems. I don't have to change them. I just have to present my thing, my view, and maybe somebody will catch it and they improve their life. Even one life improved like that, I'm happy. I don't have to change the whole system, but if all the people who are there think about this, that's how America most of the time, right? Any law is motivated by one person and that person working for it. Did I answer your question? I went tangent all over.
That was awesome. Yeah, I'm over here taking lots of notes. But
yeah, they're replaced there too, Supermom. You can listen to them. I made sure that they are replaced out there.
Thank you. I definitely will. I think that was amazing. So, I guess I'll ask one more question. I see that, let me see, for Buzzin', I'm going to let you go next. But when it comes to children, what is a way that I can nurture their ability for their conscious, raising them up, being more conscious?
Excellent question. I think I'm glad you asked me because education system we examine from time immemorial, so how they used to do in ancient system to present, right? There, the consideration was, how could you flower a human being to understand what is the most important thing to understand in life, and what kind of human being you will be, and what you are going to do, all that, right? So factual knowledge and, you know, understanding math and everything, that is practicality is important, that's okay. But then existential issues of what is life, where did we come from, where are we going, what is death, and all these things are important too. So what they did was they made them get this insight into these things, and then first be a beautiful human being, flower as a human being, because human beings are not instinctual like animals. Human beings have this innate divine power of imagination and memory. But when do you use them? Or when do you get stuck in them? You know, so that's why they train them to be in awareness, which you are, and then use your instruments of mind and body. That was ancient, right? And so a teacher took these kids under him at the age of 5 or so, and then trained them in all sorts of things according to the purpose which they are going to work in the society. They trained those, but they also trained them how to meditate, how to go inward, how to find out themselves. And then they, for example, a prince is given to somebody, and then somebody worked under a gardener, apart from the guards. So on the gardener, he will learn what is nature, how to create that plants and life, how to be kind to the animals and all that. He will learn all that, so that he knows how to nurture the human beings, how to nurture his family and all that, right? So various ways they were given education about. Educare is to really impart that kind of knowledge and all. And then modern era dawns, and then it's like a uh, assembly workers are making most people cog in the wheel. What they are personally doesn't matter. What it is you are making profits for the companies, for the corporations and all. That's why a lot of people during the COVID, they discovered they are much happier with less money, but still spending time with what is meaningful for them at home, because they're isolated from it. That's why so many resignations are happening now, because people want to live in a meaningful way, enjoy their life, contribute meaningfully, and all that. But they were lured to something about money and all that. They went and worked for it, but actually they don't have any satisfaction with it after a while. How much money you will make it? How much money you want to make it meaningful or all? You can turn into meaningful activity if you are transformed inside first. So education is, apart from giving the like I'm in artificial intelligence, I'm learning a lot of programs. That's all good, keeping the mind in a good condition now. But what are you going to use it for? I use it to serve. I used to make videos that can educate people about. I've made a video on the physical health recommendation by me. Very simple video. But then that will motivate some people, obese people, weak people, or people with a lot of strength limitations. They can do all those things, right? And they can be healthy. So I promote wellness, physical, mental, heart-wise, and also consciousness-wise, right? So what happened to the education was people were made more like a cog in the wheel, assembly workers, are all those things, for the greed of one person. Like, whereas that is not going away. That's why most of the wealth is in the hands of 10% or 1%, whatever they say. But the rest of the 90% are struggling to make ends meet, and they don't have the time for this kind of inner exploration I'm talking about. So education should be flowering of the human being in all his glory. Each human being has this innate capacity, innate diamond with them. Make them touch that, and then be in awareness, and then use the instruments of thought and body. Otherwise, people will learn a few things about certain thing, and they think I'm a subject matter expert. But then that's not going to be there. It is going to evolve. So you will continuously go. But then this inner knowledge is something is really something you establish yourself, then it is very fulfilling. And then all the degrees, everything that you accumulate, they become tools. What's the big deal? That's it. But you identify with the job, with a cadre, with whatever honors you have, then you last in those, and you don't have the time or energy to turn inward. So education should be helping people to realize what is their innate talents, innate tendencies, sense of service, and all that. If you don't have that, then you are making people to make a living. But what I'm talking about is you have to make people how to live. Part of it is making living, but you can be good, you can make a living because of along the good lines, and you can have some pleasure, some fun. That's fine. But the main thing is liberate the mind. And what these systems are doing is they are making a slave to this kind of old conditioning and all that. Make sense?
I agree totally. I think that was very well said. So that's really good.
Actually, I worked with education quite a lot. Since 1985, I have been in this. The fundamental question we have to ask is, what are we educating for? I think if the parents, if the teachers, if the politicians, policymakers, everybody asks about it truly, and then really, suppose the agriculture products, it's not like before. A few percentage of people are making all that, right? And now all the information has just come, and so many things have developed. And now people are so enamored by the AI, which I am also, but I never lost the sense of the enormous suffering I see around me, the enormous danger the planet is in, the tremendous divisions that are going, inequalities, and all that. All that suffering is going on, and then people are just they're okay with figure out a new program and make some things, and that's enough. That should be tools to really address the suffering that's going around. That's what my viewpoint is. All right. Anybody else has any other questions before
that was excellent. I don't know if 44 Besson has something.
Yeah, sure. I think that's Dr. K, I think. So, is that you, Dr. K? Thank you, you're muted. Yeah. All right. I think I spent like 2.5 hours today. So that's okay, because a lot of things came out. I'm happy. I will take leave now, and I will see you back again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Okay?
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, a lot of things have come out. Thanks everybody on the other channels.